Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Safe House, brought to you by the SafeHouse Initiative. I'm Jeff Edwards, co-chair of the SafeHouse Initiative, and your host for today's podcast. This episode, we are going to investigate what happens after a cyber or ransomware attack. Our guest today will help us understand the crucial activities that take place and how to mitigate the short and long-term impact of an attack. I am pleased to introduce Robert Walker, partner and chair of the data privacy and cybersecurity practice at Lewis Brisbois. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Safe House.
Jeff, thank you for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here and excited to share my experiences in this ever-changing world of cyber incident response.
Well, for our audience, would you mind giving a kind of a snapshot of your background so we can get better acquainted?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm one of the co-chairs of the Lewis Brisbois cyber practice. We're a large nationwide firm, but my team handles exclusively incident response and cyber-related matters. We have lawyers all across the country that handle these in every time zone. My background, so I've been practicing law since 2002, and I was a litigator to start. So I spent many years litigating, but I had a real interest in technology. And so as this cyber practice started to emerge, I became interested in it. I got credentialed in it, around 2016, 2017. And since that time frame, that's been my exclusive practice, is handling immediate incident response matters, which would include the most common and highly publicized is the ransomware events that you see on the news. Yep. So I help companies through those, as well as other types of network intrusions and email compromises, which we won't go into detail on this podcast, but is another very common attack.
So when that event happens, you get the call, what do you spring into action and what do you do to save the day, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So as the privacy lawyer in the engagement, we have a very crucial role. We kind of quarterback the whole incident response. So to give you to step back, I mean, how I get notified of these incidents is usually two ways. We have sometimes we have clients that call us directly through our hotline or our breach response email. So we get clients call us directly when they're dealing with an incident, but really more commonly it's through insurance carriers and our insurance carrier partners that we work with and that we're on panel with, and they will bring us in many times within minutes of being notified of the incident. These are ransomware in particular are urgent matters. We understand that the client's systems are down, and just so you understand, what the ransomware attack is, this is where unauthorized actor, we call them threat actors, infiltrates your environment. Typically will encrypt your data, but before that encryption event, they will also, in many instances, root around your environment and steal data out of your environment as well to extort you for a payment for both the decryption key and their promise not to publish or misuse the data that they have stolen from your environment. And this is becoming an all too familiar fact pattern. And so our role as privacy counsel is to get engaged on the very beginning, create that attorney-client privilege over the investigation to kind of lead the charge there, and then to help bring in resources, whether it's ones recommended by your insurance carrier, if you have insurance, or ones based on our experience, forensic vendors to come in and help contain the environment, restore your systems to get your business back up and operational as quickly as you can, as well as understand how the threat actor got into your environment and what kind of damage they did while they were in there.
So it sounds like it's kind of a three distinct phases. There's a containment phase that's kind of the immediate and the remediation and containment. And then there's a restoration, let's get things restored. And then I guess you would call it forensics portion. Is that the three stages? Could you dig into each one of those a bit more, Robert?
Yeah, absolutely. So the primary goal in any immediate incident response, and just so the audience is clear, I mean, when we get brought in and when the forensics get brought in, this is a matter of hours that we're engaged. We're working to get systems restored and to figure out what the issues are that we need to overcome to have a clean and successful recovery. But the primary goal from the outset is the recovery and restoration piece of that, and the containment piece, because we want to get the businesses up and operational as quickly as possible, but in a safe and remediated environment. So we bring in the forensic vendor to do that containment piece. We often do the restoration piece in conjunction with that, mostly remote restoration. Sometimes if you need on-site resources, we have partners who can do that as well. And so we work around the clock in the first days and weeks of the recovery effort to contain it, to understand how the threat actor got in, so we can prevent them from getting back in, so we contain it. We deploy appropriate tools, antivirus. It's antivirus tools that will threat hunt and will understand the threats that are out there and contain them as we try to bring up the systems in a clean and safe and remediated environment. So that's the primary goal. And depending on the size of the environment, that can take days, that can take weeks. It's just, you have to understand, your own system, the size of it, the amount of data involved, things of that nature. We have to understand those. And then also at the end of that, once we've got the containment piece moving, we focus on the forensic side. And that's really where Privacy Counsel comes in to analyze that data. Once the forensics piece is complete and we have the full forensic view of what happened, how they got in, what did they do when they were in your environment, what data did they touch, that's when we come in and offer our legal advice on whether you have obligations to notify individuals, possibly regulators, depending upon what industry your business is in. And one thing I haven't mentioned is very critical in the incident response is our partnership with the FBI. In these, we recommend immediately notifying the FBI when these incidents happen, because they have a wealth of information about these threat actors. They often can provide some assistance and support in these. So we often notify the FBI, get them involved, and share information with them, because our ultimate goal is to try to stop these types of attacks. Many times we also will engage with the threat actors. We will, when our clients find the ransom note on their system, we'll reach out to these cyber criminals, and we'll try to gather information about what they did in the environment, what data they may have taken. And if unfortunately our client needs to obtain a decryption key, if they're unable to restore their systems on their own, then there are instances that we have to purchase a decryption key. So we help with those negotiations and that process as well.
Do you also get involved in the regulatory requirements as part of your legal hat you have, in terms of saying you have this exposure here, you also have the contractual issue? It sounds like you do cover a lot of that also.
Yeah, absolutely. We, at the very outset, we like to understand, who our client is, what their regulators are. Are they a medical facility that would be subject to HIPAA and the Department of Health and Human Services, a very common example. And so we help guide them through what their obligations are to notify possibly patients, possibly staff, and then ultimately notifying the regulator involved, the Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights, as an example. So there are deadlines. Some of those for the federal regulators, those are standardized, but state law has its own unique deadlines that are in play. So you have to understand the legal implications of these incidents, and that's one thing that Privacy Counsel can help guide you throughout the incident.
Now, do you have like a soft side of the equation also, where you're the adult in the room at the time because everybody else is panicked, especially if it's a family-owned business, or the CEO's their job is potentially on the line? I would imagine you have other aspects of what you provide besides just the legal counsel. One
of our main roles is to serve as kind of like a counselor through the incidents, because as you point out, this is professionally, in many instances, the worst experience this business has undergone. Their business is potentially at risk, if they're unable to get their data back, if they're unable to get their customer data back, unable to start sending and receiving orders, and that, if that delays it for weeks or months at a time, that can put some businesses at risk. So we counsel them through that. We want to put together effective plans to get a quick but clean recovery, so they're not reinfected. But part of our role is to also message to any important partners that they have. So as you're undergoing these incidents, it doesn't just affect your immediate client or the immediate victim. If they have connectivity with other vendors, other partners, or they do business, in other ways, that business will be impacted as well. So many times you may owe them a notification just from a business perspective, just to maintain that trust relationship with your business partners, or you may have a contractual obligation, as you mentioned, to notify. And so that's one of the things that we help analyze. So it's not just the forensic evidence that the vendor will provide us. It's also their contractual obligations that are unique for each one of our clients.
So for our listening audience, are there things that they could do to kind of lay the groundwork before they're hit? Hopefully they never are attacked, but can they do certain things in preparation for that day that this comes? So when you walk through the door, they have some familiarity with what your job is and how you're going to help them.
Yeah, I would say, and this could be a discussion for many hours. We could go through best practices for security. We could go best practices for getting prepared for these. I mean, you really want to prevent them. I mean, that's the main goal, is to prevent these attacks. But I tell most people it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Even though sophisticated businesses suffer these attacks, but what the best prepared businesses can do is they can recover from them more quickly. And so the way to get the best result, if you are the victim of one of these attacks, really, I'll mention three things just to kind of keep it very, very high level. Have an incident response plan in place. And by that, I mean, understand, go through projects where you're dealing with, a hypothetical of, we wake up on a Saturday morning, our systems are locked up. We're seeing strange file extensions at the end, meaning there's encryption. What do you do? What is your immediate step? So you need to assign roles to people within the organization. Who is going to do what to get this response moving. And the first thing you do, if you have an insurance policy, a cyber insurance policy, is to call your carrier, call your broker, get those resources up and available. I can't tell you how many times, in the middle or the end of an engagement, a client says, I can't believe the resources this insurance carrier brought to bear to help us through this. We would not have been able to get through it without them. So contact your carrier, get the folks involved. And then if you don't have a carrier, reach out to a lawyer or a forensic firm to get them involved. But you want to have a plan in place that assigns these roles, has lists of people that you're going to contact, that you're going to reach out to. And also, we were talking about the impact on your customers. Have an understanding of what your customer needs will be and how you can respond to that. So like a communication plan for customers. Many times when we have these incidents, the contractual obligations to notify are locked up on the file server that's locked up. So I ask my clients, can you, tell me what contractual obligations you have? Like, well, I think we have some, but I can't access them. They're on the system that's now locked up. So understand that as part of your incident response plan. Understand what your legal obligations are and kind of map that out and have that offline in case there is an incident. The second thing after having that incident response plan is to have good backups. I can't tell you how much better a recovery will be if you have good, immutable, offsite backups that you can restore. And this goes in with your incident response plan. Not only do you need to have backups, you need to test them. Make sure that have a regular point in time where you test them, and also you understand how long is it going to take for me to restore from backups. I can't tell you how many times I get on a call and the client's like, all right, when are we going to be back and operational? And I have to say, well, do you have backups? And they're like, yes. Well, have you tested those to see how long it's going to take to restore from the backups? And they don't know. And so just understanding your backup solution, understanding and testing it, and making sure that you have a realistic framework for how long it will take to restore from those backups. That I can't tell you how much better your recovery will be if you have the incident response plan, the backup solution that's tested and validated in place. But to prevent people from getting in, there are many different security recommendations that I hear, and for many companies, some of it's cost prohibitive. There's the EDR tools out there that are very advanced, that are a lot of artificial intelligence built into them, where if you think about your traditional antivirus, they have to have known hashes that are out there in the wild. They have to know the bad code to catch it. But these kind of next gen antivirus tools, they can threat hunt and detect anomalous behavior and executables. A lot of companies have those and have a SOC team monitoring it 24/7. That's a great solution, but for many companies, that's cost prohibitive. So what we talk about a lot is just making sure your perimeter is protected, and that's making sure that multi-factor authentication is in place for every application, every remote access point, every account within your environment, email or otherwise, where you have it and where there is a tool to implement multi-factor. You need to do that.
There's a lot to this, Robert. Any final thoughts you want to leave with our audience?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's you're not alone. If you wake up that Saturday morning and you can't access your files, you see a ransom note, you see some note saying we've encrypted your systems, you must reach out to us to get these files back, etc. There's going to be immediate panic, but understand there are resources out there. There are professionals who deal with these things on a daily basis, and you're going to get through it. You're going to recover. You're going to get through it. It will probably be painful for a matter of days and weeks, but it gets better each day we go through it. I see it all the time. The panic level from day one to a week into it drops. It drops every single day. Every single day, people get more comfortable. So just understand you're gonna get through it, and there are resources out there to help and assist you through that process.
Well, Robert, thank you very much. It was very informative. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
That's our podcast for today. I'm Jeff Edwards for the SafeHouse Initiative. Thanks for joining us, and remember, be safe, be resilient, and be kind to each other. For more information on the SafeHouse Initiative, please use your mobile device to scan the QR code on the screen. Send us an email at safehouseinitiative.org@gmail.com or visit us on our website, safehouseinitiative.org. We look forward to hearing from you.